Hi everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles, and I'm here with our weekly library card challenge. This is the one where if you play along, use the hashtag weekly library card so we can see each other's projects. And I got a request to show you, some people haven't, I guess, watched the whole series or been here from the beginning, to show you my library cards. So I'm going to take, it'll be quick, but a minute or two, and just kind of go through them. This isn't all of them. Sometimes I do multiples in a week, and have given them away and as gifts and things, but I have at least one from every week here and some extra. And then we're going to get into the prompt that I have for us this week. So this was the first week, and I don't know that I had a prompt, but I was having fun. You Are Enough. I love this color palette. This was back June 15th. And then on the 22nd, I did some with some flips and pockets. Love that. Some quotes. And then, let's see. This one has another flip. This is the 28th. But they kind of look like... This is the 30th. Who knows what I was doing with the date stamp? We'll see. I don't know. We're just going to look at them and enjoy them. I like how I did that with the Sari Silk. That's pretty. And one week I also did some pockets. They just don't fit in this box that I've chosen to put these in. But I'm gentle with myself. Probably should have written the actual prompts down. My soul is beautiful, right? I don't remember what I said the prompts were, but I think this one was a truth, right? And this might have been the truth cards. Yep, Dear Pam, you are not alone on this journey. Look at that cute little pocket. Yeah, this one we talked about telling ourselves truths. Dear Wondering Girl, what if that lovely dream is possible? Dear Creative Girl, find your tribe and then believe them when they tell you what a star, and it should be say you are. That you are a star. Here's another one. I love these little pockets that we did. Again, about my brother. I've been talking about my brother quite a bit lately. Dear Pam, there is enough for everyone. I think that's why I maybe talked about the SpaghettiOs. I don't know. All right. If you need some library cards and you want to play along, I have a freebie on Buy Me a Coffee. This one is one that I did with my vintage map kits. And they open up, and there's room for journaling, and there's travel quotes on these. I'll have the freebie linked for you guys. There's also one for pockets if you want some pockets. This one's about friendship and friendship quotes. Let's see. Look at these people. Believe in miracles. If you're lucky enough to be different, never change. I think I was feeling quite sassy this week. Be silly. Attitude is everything. And these look quite vintagey. Even I'm like forgetting. Oh, this is from one of my freebies. I think I did some freebies for you guys. So again, go check out the freebies. They stay up there, and I had somebody say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize these were here." And yeah, let's see. I wrote about the trip Dan and I took and being so grateful for getting to go. Friendship, inside jokes. Yeah, I was just writing about a lot of different things I was grateful for. Here's some sunflowers. Butterflies. A lot of quotes. Open your eyes to the truth. A lot of things about, being true to ourselves. I love using art for, art therapy, healing, that type of thing. Open your heart to love. Open your mind to differences. Open yourself to grow. Ooh, I love the accordion one. I haven't done one of those in a while with some washi tape. Holly Hobby. The Holly Hobby paper, some memories from childhood and when things, family time was full of joy. Some of my best childhood memories. Everything will be okay. This one is where, oh, this is when I was working on that fall kit, and I was calling, you know, kind of inspired by orange, and it ended up being a collage kit, Fondly Fall, and it is finally available now in my Etsy shop. If you haven't taken a look, go check that out. I've been getting I got some questions about it. And this was our favorite beverage, and I did all these different images with tea, hot tea, fun. Oh, and then another freebie with doors opening and closing. It was like 3 images with some doors. And then I did my puppies. I think this was last week, and I did a whole bunch last week. And I may give some of these to my kids or put them in my personal journal later. But anyway, puppies. So what fun we have had. All right, I'm going to put these away, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little walk down memory lane of some of the ones we've made. I have a prompt for us this week, and I thought this would be interesting. And it's a piece of advice that has stuck with you. So what's a piece of advice that has stuck with you? And I haven't pre-made a card this week. I didn't have as much time for crafting, so I decided to show you the library cards thus far, and then we're just going to start crafting together using that prompt, a piece of advice. And I am fortunate to have had lots of people have given me lots of advice. When you live long enough, right, you end up being given advice, which is not a bad thing. And sometimes we listen and sometimes we don't. We have to choose. But I remember vividly, and I may tell y'all about several, but the one that first came to mind when I saw that prompt, and I found that prompt on a list of just fun journaling prompts. And it was a thing on Pinterest. So I just was kind of reading through to come up with something I wanted to do this week. And we're going to do this one for October 20th. Right? That seems right. Yeah. The first thing that I thought of when I read that was some advice my former mother-in-law gave me. So I think a lot of y'all know Dan and I this is our second marriage each. And we were both married the first time for many, many years. I was married for about 18, and he was married for like 22 or 23. And now we've been together. We celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary. We've been together about 10 years. So let's see. But my mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, who's still living, and we were very close during those years. And I was young. We got married young in our early 20s. And I remember her telling me, because I was upset about expectations I had of other people. And she said to me, I'm looking for my brown pen while I talk. She said, one of the most important things that you'll learn and hopefully you'll be able to practice in your life is tell people what you need, especially the people you love. So if you need something or you have an idea of the way something should be, you need to tell people. And I remember that resonating with me at the time. And I have tried to practice that. Tell people what you need. That doesn't sound very eloquent, but the way she said it and the way the examples she gave me were really helpful. And it's something I still remember, and it has stuck with me, especially the people you love. Now, again, unfortunately, that marriage ended, but she is my kid's grandma, and she was very good to me, and it's hard, you know, and it's hard. And I know, you know, she'll ask the kids how I'm doing, and says to say hello occasionally. The kids have like talked to him during the holidays when they've been with me. And I just have some papers. I grabbed a stack of things that I printed and that I had that I haven't used. And I think I want to use these fairy tea party images for my advice, because I just think, isn't that a cute idea? Like your fairy godmother sharing some advice. But anyway, it's hard. It's just hard, and you lose people, you know, that you've loved. And that's one of the, I think, the saddest things, you know, when marriages end and families part ways, because I understand, you know, my ex-husband is their son, and you know, it's hard. So even if you think and you have the intent that you'll stay close, it's just hard. So anyway, but Anne gave me that advice. Her name's Anne with an E. And so I'm making this one, and I've got to figure out how I want to embellish the top and do some things. And I kind of thought this funky, I know it's fall, but this funky ribbon might be pretty with these fairies. So I'm going to write the prompt on this one. AD advice. How do you even spell? Okay. It was a piece of advice that has stuck with you. And she probably told me this, I don't know, like let's say 1996, approximately. I don't know. But again, it really has stuck with me, and I think it changed my life. I know I like had an idea of, I've talked about how close I am to my brother, and I am, but you know, I had the expectation when my son, the first grandchild, the first child in our family, the first nephew, you know, all the things, his birthday came around, and my expectation 1,000% was that my brother would call and, you know, for Daniel's birthday. And he's one. Daniel would not know if his Uncle Joe called or not, but I was upset. And I remember thinking and remembering, you know, what Anne had said. In fact, that might even be when she told me, so it would have been a little bit later. And so I let him know. I did. I let him know what my expectation was and what I needed. And, was that I liked the idea that he would call and, you know, tell Daniel happy birthday. And he said, okay, sissy. And he's never missed either of my kids' birthdays, you know, and he didn't really miss it then. I mean, he sent like a card or something with, I think, some money for Daniel's college fund, you know, something like that. But anyway, at the time, it seemed like a really big deal to me. And I don't know, just little things. But if I hadn't taken her advice, you know, that could have caused issues. I'm talking so much, I can't think about what I'm doing, and I apologize. Ooh, look at this. La-di-da, let me see if I can grab it. This looks very fairy-like. But I also, and I love that ribbon. It doesn't quite go, but it's like, I feel like I need, I'm going to turn on the hot glue gun. I feel like I need some things running vertically, whether it's paper or something. This is a strip of that fabric that's on sticky paper. It doesn't have a lot of color or anything to it, but let's use these pinking shears to give it some character. So again, art and creating, I mean, I love it, as you guys know, but so much of it for me really is the idea of healing. And again, the idea, I'm a counselor by trade. And so the idea that I can have this creative outlet that also allows me, you know, to think through things or help others think through things, work through, I wouldn't even say issues, but, you know, things that we're going through. I mean, life, there's always a lot happening. And so I love the idea, I just want a hole in this, that, you know, we can help each other and we can be creative, and whether, again, it's scripture or quotes or things to help us feel closer to answers and solutions about what's happening, you know, in the world. Anyway, I think all of that's a good thing. A good thing. All right, let's see what we're doing here. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing with this purple sparkly, it's very slippery. Is that the right word? Very slippery kind of ribbon. All right, we'll have a couple of strands hanging down. I'm going to glue this, and then we'll decide where to position our little fairy that will represent, in this case, Anne. And I hope, even if you guys don't, you know, post your projects or whatever, on this one, if you have some advice that has stuck with you that you want to share, you know, drop a comment. Let us, you know, share it with us there. Okay, I'm going to have to do another knot because this is coming undone. Yeah, share it with us because I'd like to read it. And I think that'll be very interesting. Okay, I think when I get the hot glue going, if I put a little just touch of glue under there, that is going to stay. All right, let me get our little fairy. See if I can get her to stick down. Put her right there. I'm just gonna write, you know, Anne was, you know, my mother-in-law, but she was my mother. And part of what was hard during those years too, I'll share, is that my mom passed away in 2010, and we moved to Virginia for my husband at the time, you know, for him to take a job, and she passed away right before we moved here. And then by a year later, my marriage was over and we had separated, and we're going through a divorce and figuring out custody and all of those things. And so very quickly, within 6 months of my mother's death, I had lost, you know, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, that relationship, and my two sister-in-laws. And it was a hard time. And, for years, you know, you go through the grieving process, and some anger, you know, frustration, all of those things. You know, I'm being honest. I mean, it was a raw time, and I'm being truthful. I'm in a much, much better place now, and I'm very happy with the life that I have. But I think it's important to recognize now that enough time has passed too, that Anne was full of wisdom, right? And I loved her, and I still do. And I think she loves me, you know. Again, enough time passes and you realize everybody's just doing the best they can with a bad, you know, or an unfortunate situation. And what happened between, you know, her son and I, and this goes for my father-in-law, my sister-in-laws too. I mean, it wasn't anyone's fault but ours, right? If you're going to say fault, you know, the two people that were in the relationship. So again, we did the best we could. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not their fault that, again, he made the choices he made, and I made the choices I made. So there you go. I'm just thinking that would look cute with the little knot, and I don't have to worry that it might unravel on me. So I'm tying these, and that little bit of glue there really did make a difference with that not slipping. And I'm gonna put a little bit of hot glue just right there so it'll stick to the fabric. Here we go. All right, and then on the back is the advice. Okay, so I decided this is the front, this is the back, and I love that little fairy. Okay, so other advice, I'll do at least one more because I like this prompt. So my dad, Paul, who is still with us too, I've talked about my dad quite a bit too, Daddy. He was also very wise, and a piece of advice that he gave me, oh, and then I'll give a piece that my mom gave me too, because there's a good Sally piece of advice, but a piece of advice that my dad gave me early in my working career, and he's not a girl fairy, but I'm going to use the fairy because I want to, and he would understand that, was about work-life balance, and him seeing me, you know, because I, you know, a very driven person and work a lot, and very sensitive at that time, especially about things. I'm going to tie a piece of this twine around the top of this jar because I think it'll be cute. Anyway, so the advice, and y'all have probably heard this, but he told me this, and I don't think I'd heard it before, but I've always attributed it in my mind to him, which is you work to live, you don't live to work. Now, this is from a person who also was, you know, quite driven and very, you know, successful professionally, and he, you know, was trying to help me realize, you know, again, what are the important things and where do you want to spend the time that you have and all of that. He was fortunate to be able to retire fairly young, and I have also been fortunate. I don't really consider myself retired because I am not really retirement age yet, and this is my job, crafting, but it doesn't feel like a job. Isn't that cute? But and now he's lived into his 80s, so he's had a lot of years, you know, to be retired and reflect on, you know, all the things, right? But that, again, that really impacted my life, because when things would get overwhelming with work, I would remember him saying that. So let's write it down. A piece of advice that has stuck with you. So let me get my little date stamp going. I love the little date stamp. I know I don't need to do it every time, but it just makes me happy. All right. Daddy told me, remember, you work to live, you don't live to work, period. And it was always about balance. And I was never very good at that, if I'm being honest. I never was very good at it, but I remembered the advice, and I remembered attempting to, I'm going to make this a little text spot. Attempting to practice that, right? And knowing, you know, how much better and richer and fuller my life would be if I could make that happen. So now I am going to take this piece, and I am going to fold it over to make it kind of tall and skinny. And let's use these pinking shears to try to even it up. And then I'm going to write on a strip of paper something. I'm going to write listen to your father. Just to be kind of funny. And good advice is hard to find, because this was a piece of good advice and I just need to remember that. All right, I'm going to, just because I think it's funny, I'm going to glue it on here. Listen, oh, I wrote, listen to you, father. Listen to your father. Let's see, look at that cuteness. And then this one, I don't have a piece of fabric for it, but I'm just gonna stick it in there. There we go. Little treasures. That's cute, isn't it? Do we want a piece of ribbon on it too? Why not? Because everything is better with some ribbon, right? All right, so got this green. I guess we could just use, let's see if there's a little piece. Where's the piece I cut off? Yeah, we'll use kind of this green and yellow section. So cute. All right, my mama, Sally. So Sally, I do think it's interesting, even though I had so many, like I said, so many things that are coming to mind now, that the first thing I thought of was what Anne told me. But anyway, my mother told me this. And she, by the way, she loved my first husband. And she, of course, passed away before we separated and divorced. But I think she, and I think my dad would say this now, you know, I think I really want this to be on something pretty. It's sticking out of there and bothering me. So we are going to very quickly just find a piece of paper. Here, we'll just put it on, like, adhere it to some of these tickets. I think he would say this now, that, you know, they had concerns and could see things going on, whatever, in the marriage. But I remember her telling me before she died, and I, again, have been so blessed with friends and women in my life. And she basically said, you know, make sure you spend time with your friends, with your girl cousins, your family, your aunts, you know, all of these things. It is the women in your life that will always be there with you. And, you know, and she wasn't implying, you know, I think at the time, you know, that Jim wouldn't be, but she was someone also, and she had a very strong, good marriage. But she had, you know, good friends and a lot of love. And she had a sister and sister-in-laws, you know, all the things. And I just think that idea that remembering not to neglect the women and those relationships, and where you really find nurturing. And again, I have a wonderful husband, but I would not also trade my relationships with my daughters, with my girlfriends, with my aunts. I've, you know, 2 aunts that are still living, you know, all of those things. And I think this is going to be too tall. All right, we'll just put it in like that. Oh, much better. Don't you guys think? Okay, I'm happier now. So, I don't even think I've started the card. I've just been talking about it. Okay, so I'm trying to think of a way to word it to do her justice. Oh, and I need to, I wrote Daddy on there. Okay, I want to remember who gave me the advice. Because again, if my kids are ever looking at these someday, I think I would like them to know where the advice came from. All right, so now I think I'm going to do this one a little different. I'm going to put the date on this side, and it's all nice and skewed. Mama would love that. So, Mama told me to keep my girl friends and family close. She said something like, the women in your life will be the ones to always, I don't know, stay with you. I wish I could remember her exact words. I'll draw a little heart. Yeah, I'm just going on this one right. Great advice that I treasure. You know, and it's interesting. We moved to Richmond, and like I said, my marriage, me and my mom died, and I mean, she died when we were here, like picking out a house and buying a house, and we had to fly back and all of that. But she died, and you know, I was alone here, and I made a few friends and met some neighbors and was starting to get into a routine, and then the marriage was falling apart. And I got through the first couple of years, I don't know, family, long distance friends, you know, girlfriends. I went back to Florida quite a few times, with my good friends, and all of those things, right? And this one just is so pretty. We're going to use this one for Mama's advice. Anyway, let's see what happened. And then, I can't believe I'm sharing so much, but anyway, I'm sharing today. I got through the first few years, and things were, you know, it was still really rough. And out of the blue, I got an email. No, I got a voicemail from a voice I knew immediately saying, oh my gosh, do you live in Richmond? Oh my gosh, it's me, it's Holly. And it was a very good girlfriend of mine from college who lives right here in town. And I didn't know it all those hard years. And then another friend of ours, Lainey, lives here too. And anyway, we got together, and then we had planned another dinner. Anyway, it was just wonderful. And then, like, the second time we got together to have dinner or something, they had a surprise for me. My friend Liz, who lives in Danville, Virginia, she came. I mean, it was just like all of a sudden I was surrounded again. And remember, you know, and now, of course, we're all connected on Facebook and all those things, but we didn't have those things when we first graduated from college and all of that, and we had lost touch. And I hadn't lost touch with everyone, but I'm gonna wrap her little dress just right around. But with these particular women I had, and anyway, so I kind of have a tribe from when I was younger right here, and then I also have new friends and wonderful, wonderful people, and family is still in my life. And everything ends up working out, I think, the way, you know, that it's supposed to, even when you can't see it at the time, right? Yup. It's a lot. Okay, I'm going to, this seems kind of plain, but let me put a ribbon on there, and then we'll see what else we need. And y'all have to let me know if you want me to keep going with these library cards when I post them. People say, oh, I love these. But if you would rather me spend some of my crafting time doing something else, let me know what y'all are thinking. Sometimes it's fun to just see somebody else, I think, and their ideas and how they're just altering cards. Certainly, you do not have to do, you could do these prompts or any type of crafting just using a piece of cardstock, an index card. You know, again, you can print out the library cards I have for you and buy me a coffee. There's just so much that you can do. You don't have to have these cards. I was, again, very, very fortunate that my friend Charlene, thank you, sent me this box of library cards. And I guess when I run out, I'll use the digital ones, right? Okay, I'm going to have to get some more liquid pearls. I'm thinking about getting some different colors too. And I don't know where my white kind of pearly one ran off to. There was still plenty in there, but just putting a couple dots there. So, fairies, people in my life, I am happy with these. And yeah, I've had a good life. And I still do have a good life. All right, I hope you guys like this one. Don't forget to tag me, use that hashtag, all those things if you decide to play along. I'd love to see your projects. Okay, all right. Whoopsie, here's that. The fairy, see how it just kind of wants to undo. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's the silvery part. All right, don't forget, thumbs up, leave me a comment. Thanks, you guys. Until next time, have a great day.